I'd have said the exact same thing. Well, no, that would be 4 years.
I remember. We'll just get started here. We'll just start right here. I remember when we were at. Ah, fuck. When you, I don't know if you lived in the house or if you lived next to the house. But like, I fucking ate that weed cookie for the first time, and I didn't know it was a weed cookie. And it was like the torqued extra edition weed cookie. And that night, I remember going home, and I was just like, fuck, man, I just feel like I'm getting sick. Like, because I've never had a cookie. And then my buddy calls me to pick him up, and I'm picking him up, and I'm driving to go pick him up, and I'm like, the world is just spinning. The fucking pavement is water. And so I pull up to pick him up, and he gets in the car, and I'm like, Bray, can you drive, dude? I can't drive. And he's like, dude, I called you to pick me up. Fuck. So we're both navigating our asses home. He's fucking plastered. I could barely move. It was, yeah, that was good. I'm sure my grandma will hear this story and be pretty excited about that.
Those were some interesting cookies. I got into making the most ridiculously strong cookie I could.
Yeah.
And I think the cookie that you're talking about that specific day had like 300 milligrams of
It was
THC.
nuts.
It was unreal.
There was that kid that almost died on your couch because he didn't know either, and he had like 7 cookies.
Oh my god!
And he was just melting.
That was at the trap house. That was the trap house with fuck. They were like having a party, and I was just like, I need to cook these cookies. So I went over to their house, and I'm just cooking up batches and batches of cookies. And this dude shows up, and he's like, "Oh, cookies!" And he eats like 6 of them. And he was so fucking stoned. He couldn't even open his eyes.
So for those of you who don't know, this is my guest. His name is Chris Davis. Chris, why don't you introduce yourself to the people here?
Oh, hi. I'm Chris. I have a very interesting origin story, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Very.
But for the moment, I'm a systems engineer for a company in Switzerland, and yeah, that's about all.
So computer, what got you into computers?
Well, when I grew up in Tennessee, I was dirt poor, and I just kind of learned that if I wanted to have anything really, I needed to keep it working.
Yep.
So I had like an old stereo that I'd found in the trash one day, and I just was like, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong, and me and my dad put it back together, and magically now I have a stereo.
And it worked.
Yeah, and I just kind of graduated from that, and then I got a computer. My first computer I got for Christmas in 9th or 10th grade, and I mean, that was cool. I learned how to be in the computer era, but they wouldn't buy me internet. They bought me a computer, but they're like, you can't have the internet. So all the other kids are like, Xbox Live, dude, let's play fucking Halo 1. And I'm like,
Halo 1?
So I remember going to the Hollywood Video. They had the Game Crazy inside the Hollywood Video.
Like the rental?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. That is such a distant memory. I wasn't sure what you were talking about.
I agree. This has been like 20 years ago now. But I remember going there, and it was the midnight launch release of Halo 2. And they had a Halo 1 tournament, and whoever won the Halo 1 tournament got their pre-order refunded.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so me and my buddy showed up at like 9 p.m. to play all these rounds of Halo, and he ends up getting like 3rd place, and he got a Nintendo hoodie.
Damn.
And I took like 16th because, well, he had the internet and I didn't.
He's pretty clear difference, right?
Yeah, pretty clear.
But then you got the internet one day.
Not for a long time.
Really?
I would like hustle those old Net Zero CDs that you could get at like the Kmart. And they'd give you like 10 hours of internet on the phone.
Oh my god.
And then my mom would come yell at me like, "Get off the phone, I want to make a call." I'd be like, "Mom, on the internet." Every single time. Never failed. But, I mean, that was what got me started. And then I went into the military, joined the Marine Corps at 17, and I said to my recruiter, I want to work on computers. And he said, all right, we'll make that happen. So they sent me to school to learn how to fix, they call it the ANTTC 42. You're never going to need to know that again because it doesn't exist anymore. It was it's an analog and digital like phone switchboard. Like think like back in the 40s when there was like a person sitting at a board, moving cables physically. It was one of those. And funny story, it was powered by dual ZM80 microprocessors, which are the same processors that you'll find in every single TI-83 calculator.
Like TI-83, that's a standard Texas Instrument calculator that you'll have for math, right?
Yeah,
like just, okay.
Yeah, that's a graphing calculator that every math class ever has.
Yeah, a lot of my listeners didn't do that. Either way, no, that's cool, man. So you did so it's the same processor. It's in the calculator. That's kind of similar. Like, what was it in the space program? Shit, they didn't have anything,
dude.
And they went to the fucking moon.
Yeah, the TI-83 is like, I don't know, 50 or 100 times more powerful than the computer aboard like Apollo. What was it, 11?
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. And now people are like, what am I going to do with this 128 gigabytes of RAM? And it's like, we went to the moon on less than a megabyte.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
We went to the moon on less than a megabyte. Yep. Remember wasn't the first computer like 256 kilobytes and it was like a room of just...
You might be talking about the ENIAC, and yeah, it was like an entire warehouse.
Yeah.
It was massive. But thanks to Moore's Law, which states that the number of transistors on a die will double roughly every 2 years, we've just marched forward really, really ridiculously fast.
Do you have any knowledge about the IBM quantum computer?
No. Only that... quantum computing is such a paradigm shift for like everyone. Because like in normal computing, you have voltage, which is a 1, or you don't have voltage, which is a 0. And that's easy to understand. But when you get into quantum computing, have you ever heard of Schrodinger's cat?
Yep.
So Schrodinger's cat is both alive and dead. And by measuring it, by looking at it, you confirm one and deny the other.
Right.
But in quantum physics, by measuring the state of that quantum substance, you change that state. So I don't understand how we use that in computing. I've tried to read into it, but it's...
Well, my understanding of let's just get this out. I'm a fucking idiot. I don't fucking know. I did not go to the fucking ERN or whatever. What is that? The CERN over in...
The CERN.
What is that what it is when they spin all that shit real...
Oh, the Large Hadron Collider.
Yeah.
The LHC, yeah.
The LHC. Okay, I don't know anything about anything, so I'm just going to say what I've heard and repeat it right now. I understand it to the point where I know what I'm talking about when it comes to... But if you try to tell me why it works, don't know. But what I understand is that these quantum bits are running at both a 1 and a 0 at the same time, where it's almost a superposition of both. Where that's fucking crazy, because at the same level where we're looking at the quantum realm, when like an electron, like the electron waves with the double slit experiment, that it's existing at both a wave and a particle, depending on if you observe it or not.
Right.
I don't get it.
I don't either. One of the things
I can say it, but I don't get it, you know?
One of the things that I read about in quantum physics, it's the theory of quantum entanglement. So, if we, think about here to Mars, the transmission time is 13 minutes, I think?
For radio?
Yeah. So every time we want to send a command to the rover on Mars, it's like 13 minutes, and then we wait for it 13 minutes for it to send back what happened. That's why it goes so slow, because they don't know what's in front of it, right? But quantum entanglement says that this particle on Earth and this particle on Mars are linked. So if I move this particle on Earth, this particle on Mars will reflect that. And somehow, mathematically, that works out, but...
I remember learning about this a little bit between Einstein and Bohr, how they were arguing, like, no, this one is just half a particle, and this one, no, this has got magic entanglement, and Einstein was super pissed about it because he couldn't figure it out. I remember learning about that. That's nuts, but that's the same thing with this whole... Well, didn't they just teleport something with an entangled proton?
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
That's crazy.
It's wild. It's a new frontier, but fuck, man. I don't understand that. I barely passed college algebra.
I didn't pass college algebra. I just dropped the class. Fuck it. I just never went. That was the problem. I never went to class. As you saw, you were in charge of my my grades for a bit in beta. You saw I didn't go.
I had plenty of days where I didn't go to class either.
Can we bring up the story of when you got kicked out of a flight school?
Oh man, that was That was pretty good. So let me give you a little bit of backstory here. So there's two separate incidents, and one came slightly before the other. But let's start with the first one. So I'm going on a night flight because I'm in flight school, and working on at that point I was working on my private pilot, and I was coming back from a night flight, and at night they turn off all the runway lights at Grand Forks Airport, and you could turn them back on by keying the mic 3 times, 5 times, something like that.
Yep.
And there's the tower isn't working at Grand Forks after 7 or 8 p.m., something like that. So you just broadcast out on the frequency and you tell people what you're doing, and that's it. You expect people to be listening on that same frequency if they're in the vicinity of the airport. So I broadcast on the frequency, hey, I'm on final, I'm coming into land, and I see that there's a long line of lights coming in from the Minneapolis direction. And I'm like, man, I don't want to wait in that line. That's like 10 different planes. I would have been waiting there for like an hour. And I was like, fuck it. So I just I turned the plane really hard, and I mashed down on the opposite rudder. So essentially just to slow myself down. And you're supposed to come in, you're supposed to stall at like 45 knots, maybe?
Yeah, 44 knots with the flaps.
44. FSO, flaps shit out. Or no, VSO.
Yep.
V shit
Dirty.
out.
Yep.
Anyway, so I came into land and I was doing like 60 knots maybe, and I was way over speeding the flaps, and the problem is if you're going so fast, the ground gives you additional lift when you get really close to the ground. So, like, I just floated and floated and floated and floated. And finally, I, like, touched down in the last, 400 feet of the runway. It was crazy. Because you're supposed to stop on the first third, right? But, it's too late. We're already on the ground. Whatever. It was a mistake. I'm a young pilot. Whatever. So, I broadcast on the frequency. I've crossed, 3.5 left. And I'm coming back on taxiway, whatever the fuck it was. And I go back to my checklist for my post-landing checklist, look down, and I'm like, I did that, I did that, I did that. I look up, and there's a propeller 20 feet away. Not even, 10 feet away. They were right on top of me. They didn't have any lights on. They hadn't been communicating with me. And I'm just like, oh shit. Slam on both the brakes and steer away from them. And right about that same time they saw me, put on their brakes and steer away from me. The problem is our wings go out like 20 feet from the center of the plane. So our wingtips touched. And I broke a little bit of the plane I was in. And they broke a little bit of the plane they were in. So the end of this, we taxi our planes back, we report the incident, and they said it was my flight instructor's fault because we landed late. And I'm like, it's not their fault because we didn't even know they were there and they didn't have their lights on? I'm like, whatever. As long as it's not my fault. So that was the first problem. And they put me on flight hold for like 3 weeks. And I was like, this is bullshit. I made a mistake. Like, okay, whatever. So after that, I'm flying with a different flight instructor about, a month and a half later. And my flight instructor is busy all the time. And he loves to just farm me out to random other flight instructors I've never met in my life.
Yep, I had one like that. It was terrible.
Yeah, so I spent all night planning a flight. I was up 7 hours planning this flight, getting all the stupid VFR waypoints all the way from Grand Forks down to St. Paul and back. And that's a lot of work.
It's a shitload of work.
And I get there in the morning to meet my flight instructor, and he's like, "Oh, I'm glad to see you got all these VFR waypoints down, but throw that shit out the window. We'll just call for flight following en route."
Yes.
Like, that's not how we do things.
That is not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and I size this guy up, and I'm like, this kid's probably 21 years old. Like, what an asshole. So I'm like, I'm the junior here, and I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta go with it. So, fucking stuff him in my bag, don't fill any of that shit out, request flight following as we take off, and that's that. So we go to the first airport, because you have to stop at 3 airports. So typically you'll stop at one of the airports around Grand Forks, and that'll be your first stop. And then you stop at another one around Grand Forks, that'll be your second stop. And then you go really long distance, and that'll be your third, and then come back to Grand Forks. So I think the first one we did was maybe Grafton. And that's like a 10-minute flight from Grand Forks, not even. So we're coming in for final, and I'm doing all the things, calling out the checklists, whatever. And I look over, and I notice that the other flight instructor has his hands like on the controls. And at this point, I'm like a registered private pilot.
Right.
Like,
that's offensive at this point.
Yeah. Like I've been certified to fly this specific plane, and I've been flying it for like 100 hours at this point. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, I'm trying to land this plane. Get your hands off the controls. And he's like, I don't know you. I don't trust you. Like, you might kill us both. And I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? And I said that. And I don't remember what happened afterwards, but he said something to the effect of, respect your elders.
LOL.
And I was like, boy, I'm 24. Like, you're probably all of 21. Like, I served my country. I went all over the fucking world in the Marine Corps. You've probably never left North Dakota. How about you shut the fuck up, take your hands off the controls, or I just don't want to fly with you. He's like, all right, man, all right. And so we go down to the first place, and it's a good landing, whatever, touch and go. And then we go to Northwood, which is 15 minutes away. Nice landing, touch and go. And we're coming down to St. Paul, and we've been flying. He hasn't said a goddamn word in like 3 hours. And it's a long flight when you're only doing 100 miles an hour.
And especially in the plane where he's like an inch away from you to your right.
Like, he hasn't said a goddamn word. And so finally we're coming into the Minneapolis Center controlled area, and we got into an argument about fucking something. And I just had enough. I was like, you know what, man? You want to fly this plane? Have at it. Why don't you take us to St. Paul and then take us home? I'm done. And he's like, okay. So he flies us home. And eventually, I find out the next day that he reported me, like, he put a safety report in on me.
Oh my God.
Because I have a macho attitude. And so in response, I put a safety report in for him because he's an idiot. And also he pissed me off. But who do you think the flight instructor, who do you think the flight school is going to side with?
Right.
A guy who passed their training and is now being harassed, air quotes, or a hot-headed Marine who just wrecked a plane last month.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, they told me that my time in the flight program was over. And that was painful, but, whatever. I didn't really want to be there by that point. I was pretty disillusioned by then.
Right. So that's the aviation part. And then you went to computers, but anyway.
Well, that's an interesting story, too. I already had an associate's in computer science when I came to UND. And I figured, I'll just go back to what I know. So I took a couple of computer science classes at UND, and I started putting out feelers everywhere. I had a really high ACT score. I had a 29. So everywhere I applied accepted me. So I got into Purdue. I got into Minnesota State in Moorhead. I got into all sorts of places. Those are the two that I remember. But I was like, holy shit. I got into Purdue. I'm going to go there. Like, that sounds amazing.
Pretty dope school.
Yeah. So I got everything ready to go to Purdue. And on a whim, I was on Google one night, and I saw that some guy was talking about how the FBI was looking for interns. And I was like, I wouldn't mind working for a 3-letter agency.
It'd be cool.
Could be cool.
The Alphabet Boys.
Yeah, the Alphabet Soup Boys. So I applied, and I jumped through all the hoops on USA Jobs. And I was like, okay, they're never going to pick me. But I applied for a role on their cybercrime task force. And I was stoked. I was like, this is going to be awesome if they pick me. And I forgot all about it. 3 months later, I get a call. And I'll be damned if the caller ID doesn't say it's the FBI. And I'm like,
scared.
It's going to be either really good or really bad. So pick up the phone, I'm like, hi, this is Chris, what can I do for you? The guy's like, oh, this is Christopher Davis? Yeah. Oh, well, we're proud to tell you that, you're the number one pick for our cybercrime intern position. Cool. And they're like, well, do you want it? Yeah! So they set me up an in-person interview, and I have to fill out the stupid SF-86, which is like It's a security clearance form. You have to. I lived
all
here
your
from this
friends
time.
and your family,
all that crap.
they call them.
Yeah, well,
And
they send a guy out to your house.
They do call them. I remember I was on one of my last guests, Norby. I was one of his. They come to your house.
Yeah. So I did all that in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, and I thought it was kind of cool. And then they said, "Hey, we need to schedule you for a polygraph." I'm like, "Okay, it's pretty standard." So I go to the polygraph, and I've taken polygraphs before in the military, and the guy was like, "I don't know what's going on here. Your responses don't really make sense. Like, we're gonna have to send this up." Okay, all right, I guess send it up, whatever. And then like 3 days later, I got a letter in the mail. It was 1 page. You failed your polygraph. You're no longer being considered. You can never apply to the FBI again. Fuck off and die. And I'm like, oh, well. So then I got really drunk, and I was like, it's not so bad. I've still got Purdue University. I'm still going to get the fuck out of North Dakota. Like, I've got a plan. And 2 days later, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she calls me up and she says, "Hey, I got accepted into this really cool program at UND that they don't offer anywhere else, called the Resident Teacher Program. And basically it's, you spend a year going to school at night, and in the day you work as an actual teacher, and at the end of it you walk away with a master's degree and an almost guaranteed job offer in the district you taught," which is...
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a great gig. And so I'm like, we're going to have to stay here, aren't we? Forever. She's like, well, at least until I'm done with this, and then maybe a year or two of teaching. Cool, no Purdue, got it. So I settled into life in North Dakota. And that was about the time I decided I'd join Beta. I ended up getting real drunk again, and I said, if I can't go do the things I wanted to do, I'm going to go do some of the other things I wanted to do. I've always wanted to join a fraternity.
Right.
So at the ripe old age of 24, I joined Beta Theta Pi.
Yeah, I joined at 19.
Well, it was a weird experience being so much older than everyone else.
Definitely.
But...
Well, I remember I was a junior when I pledged, and so, I lived there before I was even a part of the house.
I did too, actually.
And so I wasn't actually an official part of the house until I was a junior in college. And all of my pledge mates were like 18, and I'm like 22. So everyone's trying to go downtown and have a fucking awesome time, and I'm trying to go downtown and have a fucking awesome time, and I can't.
Jeez.
Yeah, so like the age gap is just, it is... But I had a great time.
Yeah, and I love listening to Norby's episode, because it was nice to think about all the people that I haven't thought about in, a few years. Like Joel. Man, I hope he listens to this podcast.
Do you remember?
Of course I remember Joel. How could you forget?
No. I wasn't going to talk about Joel, but that night where we went through like 5 separate couches, throwing them off the balcony and then burning them.
Yes.
Just driving around the city. Oh, there's a couch right here. Let's sit on it. And sat on it for about 23 minutes. And then one person would throw up all over it. Fuck! Off the balcony. Hurl it off the balcony. Jesus Christ.
Yes, I also vividly remember back when they used to have Spring Fests.
Rest in
we poured
peace.
an entire 30 rack of Busch Latte into a traffic cone up on the balcony. There's like a hose at the bottom.
With a fucking butterfly valve.
Yep. That was great.
That shit was going down your neck when you wanted to. I remember Norby was at the bottom one time, and a pine needle got in there. And
you can feel it, but you can't stop it.
It went right down. He's like, ah!
Just things that you'd only do in
Oh,
college.
Christ.
Drink a 30 rack of Busch Latte out of a traffic cone. God, I miss Springfest.
Oh, rest in peace.
Yeah, right?
Man, what president was it that nifted that? Was that Schaefer that did? No, it wasn't. That was Kelly.
Yeah, it's probably Kelly.
It's
Everybody
Kelly.
hates Kelly anyway.
Yeah, we can continue. We'll just let it ride. And Kennedy, fuck that guy.
Yeah, right?
So in Beta, you joined Beta, and what did you do in Beta when you first started?
Well, I don't know. I just tried to meet people. It was hard for a little while because I was trying to live outside the house. Like, I was living with my girlfriend, and I was trying to, like, be active in the house and all the stuff. And finally, she and I got into an argument, and it ended with her saying, oh, if you enjoy your beta friends so much, why don't you go live with them? Okay. So I packed all my shit and moved into the beta house for like a year and a half. And it was a great time. I mean, well, it was nice in the moment, but like it set me down a really bad road. I basically had more than enough money to like live, and I didn't really need a job, so it was pretty much just drink all day, party all night, which was not good for anyone.
I remember when I lived there and it was wake up at 7 a.m. and, oh, we shotgunning a beer this morning? Like, that's how you start off the day. Yep, I remember.
Yep, and you were surprised if you weren't hungover when you woke up.
Seriously. And
Yeah.
I had a great time. I did. But my grades went... oh, man. And that's not Beta's fault. That's me.
Yeah, that's
my inability to handle my shit.
That's exactly
That's
it.
literally what it was. Because
Exactly
they were a
it.
great group. It was a good house. They were supportive. It was great. I just couldn't handle my shit.
Yeah, man. And I don't know, man. All I did was like smoke pot all the time. That was just like we'd throw these huge parties and I'd just be like stoned out of my mind wandering around. Like, oh, I'm having a great time.
Tossing a couple safety meetings here and there
Oh
around.
my god, the safety meetings.
I remember one time, and I'm just down in the basement, and someone, yeah, we have a safety meeting in the attic. 5 minutes. And someone's like, oh, you guys have a... I'm like, oh, we just gotta go make sure everyone's doing okay. I'll be right back. And
Do you remember, what was it? I think it was it Halpin who got the sign from FedEx that said like 0 days since an injury?
Yeah.
And we blacked it out with a Sharpie and said 0 days since we got baked here last. I'm pretty sure that sign's still there.
It's still probably there. Guaranteed.
At least they'll remember us.
Oh,
the later generation.
You can't forget some of the shit that we did.
I keep
it's
running
like-
into people downtown. I'll go out to talk to my friends downtown or play blackjack, and I keep running into people. Like I ran into Travis, and Travis Summers.
Yeah.
And he introduced me to two betas, and they're like, "Oh, hi, I'm whatever their names were." I was like, "Oh yeah, my name's Chris." And they're like, "Oh, but they call me Corp." And they're like, "Oh my god,
Corporal.
you're Corporal!"
Yep.
I'm like, "Yeah, that's me."
It's cool. I kind of think it's cool. I went back. I haven't been there in forever. When I did go back there, people, oh, you're Ryder. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Feel like a
How
little
do you know
celebrity
me?
for a little bit. It's dope. Get your little 5 cents of, yeah, yes, I know. Hello, yes. All right, autographs tonight.
It feels like a different person, honestly.
It's cool.
Like I'm so different than I was back then.
Dude, if you would have told me today, like, hey, remember when you guys threw axes at a tree and it skipped and hit a car when it was driving by? That was me. Yep, I do remember that. Sorry. We were throwing a hatchet at the front tree in the yard, and it skipped off the pavement, and a car was coming by at just the right time, and it clipped.
Yep.
Sorry, ma'am.
Man, there have been some crazy things that have happened at that house. We caught a drunk driver because he drove by and like ripped a guy's mirror off. Reported him to the cops. That was a fun one. I got pulled over in front of there for doing 25 and a 20.
Yep.
Fucking UPD.
Fucking 20 miles per hour down Uni. Yeah. UND, if you're listening, stop it.
Yeah, right.
Just
Why
stop
is that
it.
a 20?
Just stop it.
Why?
All right. No one's like, I feel really safe now that it's 20 here. Like, if you can have your kids who are like 4 years old in a residential area at 25, the college students are going to be fucking fine.
No, man, we gotta protect them. It's a safe space.
It is. It's a sanctuary.
Oh
we need to keep everyone protected.
These people,
Yeah, that's where we're going. Higher education.
unfortunately.
Higher education, lower.
Higher education.
Yeah, exactly. So back to computers. So you were in the Marine Corps with computers. What did you do while you were there?
So I learned how to work on this switchboard thing. I spent a year out in 29 Palms, California, learning how to work on this thing and repair it and all sorts of shit. And then I got my orders to Okinawa, Japan. And the second day I was there, they said, "Hey, forget everything you learned about that. It's obsolete. It's going to the junkyard. We want you to be a computer technician now."
It's going to the junkyard.
I mean, that's cool that you want me to be a computer technician, but I don't know dick about computers. Cool. You'll learn on the job. And I was like, "Are you going to teach me?"
Nah.
"Nah. You'll figure it out." Okay. So that's how I pretty much got into it. I did night school for a while. I did all but one class for my associate's degree just because I wanted to take advantage of tuition assistance. I mean, I don't know. It was always my goal to go to college, join in the military. Because in high school, I was in English class, senior English class. And the teacher's like, hey, we've got a guy who's going to come in and talk to you today. Turns out it was her fucking husband who was on recruiting duty. But that's neither here nor there. So he came in and he gave this cool presentation about, like, you should join the Marines. It's awesome. And I remember he was shaking people's hands, and the medals on his, like, dress blues kept clinking. I was like, man, I wouldn't mind some medals. I should join the Marine Corps. And I literally didn't even consider anything. I'd been in Air Force ROTC for 4 years, and, like, could have easily gotten in as, like, an E3 in the Air Force. And I was like, I'm going to join the Marine Corps. I'm going to break my back for 4.5 years. I'm going to take their piddly $5,000 bonus. And
$5,000 when you're a teenager, though.
It sounded like a lot.
It sounds like you're making fucking money.
But here's the thing: they don't give it to you until you're in your job. Mm-hmm. And like, I had a year of school, so by the time they gave me that money, I didn't even notice it had been deposited into my account. It's like, oh, I got 2 paychecks. I should figure out why.
Yep.
That's what it was. But so what I actually ended up doing, I supported a bit of SATCOM equipment. Called the Support Wide Area Network. And then, I fixed computers and printers and phone cable wires. I mean, fiber optic cables. I just did fucking everything that needed to be done. If it was broken, I tried my best to fix it.
So Okinawa, Japan, how big is that base?
There's like 8 or 9 bases there. I was on Camp Foster, which is the second biggest Marine Corps base. It's like in the center of the island. And then up north, there's Camp... Oh, it's been way too long. There's Kinzer in the south. And then there's White Sands on the west. White Sands Naval Base. And then there's Kadena Air Force Base, which is kind of centrally located. There's another Marine Corps base. It's an air station, Fatenma. And then there's... Joint Warfare Training Center. I don't remember the name of the place, but there's quite a few bases there. I think we have like 40,000. Well, when I was there were like 40,000 Americans there.
Jeez.
Which sounds like a lot, but I don't know. Pretty big island.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, that's Plymouth, where I live. That's I should have said that. The city that I live in has 70,000 people.
Hashtag gonna edit that.
I usually just keep it to Minneapolis. That's where you get to know.
Nah, Minneapolis is a giant,
it's pretty
metropolis.
Big. It's pretty big here.
It's huge.
Isn't it funny that they call it the Twin Cities? Like, no one gives a fuck about St. Paul.
Yeah,
Everyone calls it the Twin Cities, but it's like the dumb, shitty stepbrother that no one gives a fuck about. They look kind of similar, so they call them the twins, but they're not. They're not even related. It's like, we'll just...
I find it funny that there were 2 cities that came up, and the only thing that separated them was a river. And, they're really the same city. People lived and worked on both sides.
Yep.
But just because they're on different sides of the river, they're magically different cities.
That's what Grand Forks and East Grand Forks.
Well, okay, but East Grand Forks is like a parasite on Grand Forks. Grand Forks is huge. East Grand Forks is we have a beet plant.
Yeah, but they're nice people over there.
Oh, they are.
They're good people.
The taxes are way higher.
Oh,
and they all wish they lived in North Dakota.
Taxes are much higher over on that side of the river. Which is crazy. I mean, that just explains...
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, that'll get you. He just spilled his water.
I'm going to go clean that up.
Yep.
Intermission!
So while he's cleaning up, I'll just go ahead and discuss a couple other things. The video obviously did not work. I don't know what's going on. My format just kind of took a shit. YouTube keeps saying I didn't like the format. I put it in MP4. It says it didn't. I don't know what that's all about. Apparently, with the last episode with Michaela, it has audio from me in the left ear and audio from Michaela in the right ear. Don't know how that happened, but I'll fix that I can't fix that one, so you just have to live with it. But I'll try to fix it for this one. Hey, Chris.
Now it just looks like I peed myself.
That's okay. That's better than whatever it was.
It's just
soaked.
It's the tea.
It's just Arizona tea.
Arnold Palmer.
Rest in peace. Is that guy alive or dead?
I have no idea. but he made a good drink combination.
He did.
He'll be forever remembered.
He did. He's a golfer, right?
I think so. Yeah. He was a
golfer.
legendary golfer.
I think he was just a great.
I don't follow golf.
I don't. Dude, people who follow golf. I remember when I worked at Jarrell's in Grand Forks, and fucking they would have it on TV, and dudes would stand for like 5 minutes with their arms crossed and just look at the dudes, look at the golf ball, like on a knee, and then look at where it's. What are we looking at? Like, what do you watch? Well, do you see how he's eyeing up the ball? Yeah, but why are we watching him eye up the ball? Like, I see that he's doing it, but
Yeah. Why do I care?
it's not like he's fucking taking a slap shot. Like, this is nothing interesting happened right here.
At least when you go to a fight, sometimes a hockey game breaks out, right?
The world's famous boxing match, the Ralph Engelstad Arena.
Right. You know, honestly, though, I see a lot less fights in college hockey than I do in professional hockey.
Well, it's because it's not allowed in college hockey.
Well, it's not technically allowed in professional hockey.
Yeah, it is. It's sanctioned.
Really?
Yep, it's allowed. It's just a 5-minute penalty.
Today I learned.
Yep, it's allowed there. It's the only. It used to be allowed in some other, like the USHL used to allow it in juniors, a couple other places, but then they all kind of outlawed it because of concussions. Even though concussions are more from getting hit in the chest, as research is showing, and having your head ricochet around, not from being hit directly in the head. But fuck science. We don't like that here in America. We like to just say things that make us happy.
We like to legislate away all our problems.
Right.
And then when the legislation doesn't work, we just make more.
Right. We'll just keep writing laws until we. I don't know. Until I don't know what happens. I guess we'll just keep doing that.
You want to talk about some crazy laws? You should read the tax code. Good
Dude,
luck.
no one can read it. The people who wrote the tax code can't even read the tax code.
I completely agree.
They literally can't, and they admit it.
Yeah. Like, I don't pay a CPA to know what the hell they're doing. I pay my CPA for audit insurance.
Yep.
That's literally the only reason.
Pretty much.
So if I get audited and something was wrong, I'm not guilty of a crime.
Right.
And I don't have to go to court to defend myself.
But isn't that crazy? They know how much you owe. They know how much you should be paying, but they're going to be like, guess. And if you're wrong, we're bringing you to court, bitch.
You know, in Europe, they just send you your taxes. They're like, hey, this is what you owe us. Please pay.
Yeah.
Like, America could do that.
No, we could. We just choose not to.
We're just capitalistic assholes who are like, oh, maybe they'll tell us about that Bitcoin that we didn't even know existed. Oh, man. This stupid stuff with Coinbase. Like, the IRS sued Coinbase and said...
Can you explain Coinbase?
Coinbase is like... it's one of the bigger, if not the biggest, like, markets. It's kind of like a stock market.
Can you pull the mic away just a little? There you go. That's right there. Yes.
It's kind of like the stock market in that you give them money, and in return, they give you whatever cryptocurrency you want. So it could be, Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever.
Litecoin.
Sure,
like
Litecoin or Ripple or...
Anything. Yep.
Yeah, anything. So, Coinbase did a lot of business and they got really, really big. And they didn't file a single report with the IRS.
Nice, Coinbase.
0. And then the IRS is like, hey, people made a lot of money off trading this stuff. We want our cut. Give us your records. And Coinbase said, here's my middle finger. See you in court.
Love it.
Of course, the IRS took them to court. And it's strange. I don't understand how it happened, but they ended up settling outside of court so that Coinbase only gives the IRS the records of the top 10,000 people who, in terms of trading volume.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. So they're literally only giving them the richest people's tax information. And I thought about it, and I was like, that's nice. I did some business with Coinbase before they banned me. I'm glad that I don't have to report that to the IRS. And the IRS, I mean, of course they're going to say, well, we know about all your Bitcoin accounts.
No, you don't. It's impossible to. You literally
can't. It's definitely
can't.
not impossible.
To know all of them?
It's not impossible. It's just time-consuming and expensive.
Yeah, but for some... Okay, let's say, unless
accountants
you're...
do not grow on trees.
Unless you're someone like Pablo Escobar where they're coming down on you, they're not going to be looking that hard into
That's
you.
exactly it. I mean, I got arrested for selling drugs, and you know how many Bitcoin addresses they associated with me?
0.
Goose eggs. Not a single one. And I mean, if they weren't going to chase me, they're not going to chase you.
It's a lot of people need unless people think that the government's checking me out all the fucking time, dude. They're really. I don't like how the surveillance powers of them work, but they're really not interested in what you're doing if you're just fucking going to work during the day.
I mean, I don't know. I actually asked myself this. I was coming back from Amsterdam, and I had to do the automated passport control because apparently you can't talk to a person when you come back to America. You have to use a computer. Yep. Which is just lovely. But I put my passport in. Yeah. Put my passport in. And it prints me out a slip after I answer all the questions. And down at the bottom, it's got face recognition match percentage. And mine was like 0. I'm like, yeah. Fuck yeah. Nobody knows me. I'm happy about that.
Face recognition. I don't like that.
I don't like it at all. My wife, she enrolled in TSA PreCheck. She doesn't even have to scan her passport. She walks up to the kiosk. It detects that she walks up, scans her face like automatically, and says, "Hi, please proceed." That was like trippy when I saw that. I was like,
did you know? So facial technology, we have a computer that writes the technology, so humans don't understand how facial technology recognition, we don't know how it works.
I don't think that's
I just read about that. Like there's a software that's out there right now that's reading people's faces that some phone companies are using that they don't know how it works. They just know it does.
Machine learning is a crazy thing.
I don't like that. That's throwing me.
I mean, I don't like it either, but
it's where we're going.
It's almost 2020. It's almost a new decade.
Do you think that humans are kind of just like a passing of like where we're gonna, like we're kind of just this spring of like we're the knowledge base up in our brain and we're just kind of a meat sack holding on to it. We're eventually going to give our brain over to a computer and be like, here you go, here's what we learned. Keep learning for us, and then the computers are going to be like, well, these fucking humans, look at these guys launching nukes and all this stupid shit. Let's get rid of them.
You should maybe watch a little bit more Star Trek, man. Jeez.
I've never seen a single episode of Star Trek.
Oh, God. Start with Deep Space Nine. It's a great series. Very underrated when it was on TV. They pioneered a lot of interesting stuff, actually. I think they were the first lesbian kiss on cable TV.
Probably.
I don't know, all sorts of things, but
it's what's cool. What's cool about that is because like Star Trek was like, yeah, we're gonna throw some lesbian kiss in there, but it's aliens, so people won't be mad. It's aliens. We can't. It's a human girl. Oh, are those humans kissing? No. But then it's an alien from Mars, so we're like, oh, that's really nice. That's good for them. Like,
yeah, I'm glad they're happy.
People are so fucking weird.
I don't understand. Like, it's really hard for me because growing up, I was like super homophobic. Like, I was like, no, I don't like that shit is unnatural. I grew up in a place that was just really like bigoted, you know. Yep. And that was the way it was.
Hey man, I grew up in a small-minded area. Yeah. I know what you mean. And you go back in my Facebook timeline to 2008. Yeah. I've debated throwing away all of my social media and starting over so people can't find that shit because it's like,
it'll still be there. You can't erase it from
I know. It's just. The shit, it's what's tough, like, for kids these days, too, it's because people change as they grow and learn, and you can change your opinion based on new information. And, oh, well, look at this tweet you sent out in 2013. Yeah, you know, probably that was, 6 years ago?
Yeah, man, and, like, in Europe, they call it the right to forget law. And so, like, anything that goes online about you, after a certain amount of time, I think it's like 5 years, you can request that they remove it. Like, Google has to honor your request to delist it from their search results.
That's awesome.
But here in America, you get arrested once, your mugshot, dude, good luck.
Not only that, there is a law that just got passed. Well, it didn't just get passed, but it got passed after the whistleblower from the Bush administration, after they were unlawfully phone tapping people. Both the Democrats and the Republicans within the executive branch and the House and Senate all conspired to pass a law called the Protect America Act. And you should always know it's bullshit. If it's like the Patriot Act, the Protect America, and the Democrats and Republicans are working together, you know it's bullshit. So like what that was a law that protected all of our tech companies from being sued for handing over all of our information to the government against the Fourth Amendment. Like they protected them from being sued because they just unlawfully went, yeah, here you go. Here's all the shit. Take it.
I just posted something like that on my LinkedIn, actually. A court in maybe it was DC, struck down that it was illegal to warrantlessly search electronic devices at the border. Because,
That's bullshit.
Well, no, that's good. So
Wait.
The current the current
Might have heard you wrong.
the current way it is, if I'm coming back to America and I have my phone and my laptop, even as an American citizen, I can be detained, and they can force me to give them my fingerprints to unlock my phone and my computer. They can run through my computer and do whatever they want, and
That's
then give it back to me maybe. Or they can confiscate it if I refuse to give them the password, and keep it for God only knows how long. There's one lady, it took her 3 months to get her computer back.
That's so fucking stupid.
It's dumb.
Dude, can you imagine? Okay, let's right now. Let's hop down to the cop station and just take their car.
Yeah,
let's just take it. We paid for it.
Yeah,
let's fucking take it. Hey man, we're just gonna take it for 3 months. We're not taking it forever. We'll give it back.
Yeah, just file some paperwork.
Oh, we just need you to come to this date. We need you to file these forms and talk to that person. Pay your lawyer $5,000, and then we need you to pay us the filing fees. And then after that, we might give it back to you.
But don't forget, that person died like 4 years ago, and we didn't hire a replacement, so...
We don't know where all that is.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Land of the free, home of the brave.
Land of the surveilled.
It's such bullshit, dude. Here's what sucks. Here's what sucks is like for me, I have such a position where people don't know what box to put me in, because I genuinely don't fucking like any box. I don't like your groups. I don't like your fucking ideas. All of you can fuck right off with your groups. Oh my god, we're all libertarians. No, fuck your libertarian party too. Like, even libertarians, which is what I'm most aligned with, are like a dog pulling at the leash. Like, I don't know about this. I don't like this group very much. So I don't like it. So when you got all these groups, because they all come together, and every group, although different, has a common among them. They all want something, and most of it is power. So you get Democrats who hate Republicans, Republicans who hate Democrats, but both of them want power. Well, fuck the Fourth Amendment. Let's just make the Patriot Act.
Oh, God.
Which, by the way, is up for renew in December, and they're all currently working together to renew it. So call your senator, tell him to cut it the fuck out. It's up in December, and even though all the impeachments, all that stuff is going on, all of them are arguing, you watch impeachment on TV while Nancy Pelosi's bitching at the Republicans, those same people are right afterwards, oh my god, well, let's just talk about this together, and let's all sit at the table. It's a fucking game show, dude.
It is. It's as the world turns, except it's as America turns.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. I don't know. Call your senator for all the good it'll do.
Right, exactly. Or just start slitting throats, because that's all it's going to... I'm telling you, man, until people start climbing over rich people's neighborhoods in their fucking gates and just slitting throats at night, shit's not going to happen.
I just wonder how long it's going to be until, like, the hillbillies and the rednecks get real tired of the current administration.
Dude.
And we have, like, a coup.
I know. What?
Like, rednecks with fucking guns... I wouldn't want to be in front of them. They've been hunting, fishing their whole lives.
Nope.
They don't need the supermarket.
Dude, American gun owners are the largest army the world has ever seen.
I don't know. The Chinese army's probably bigger, but I'd certainly be more afraid of American gun owners.
Yeah, the Chinese army. How big are they?
I have no idea off the top of my head. I once heard a statistic that I have no idea where I heard this, or even if it's true, but if all the members of the Chinese military walked into the ocean and like drowned themselves, they would raise sea levels so high that like the U.S. coastal cities would just be totally
flooded. Oh my god.
Yeah, right? Like,
what?
I mean, you've got to think that like China's got like 4 billion people with a B.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and like I think the Marine Corps only has 200 some odd thousand. The United States Marine Corps, and people are like scared of us. We're like the pit bulls in cages. That you haven't fed for like 6 months. Oh, man. But, I don't know.
That's a lot of people in one area.
I'm gonna Google it.
That's crazy.
We gotta get some...
Well, what is it? Because India's got a shitload of people. And then China's got a shitload of people. There's got a shitload of people right there. Like, everyone just... Let's all just accumulate. On the side too, I saw this video. This lady was reaching out to get an ice cream cone out of her car, and a fucking flaming tire comes rocketing out of nowhere and smacks her arm and rips her arm off, and it flies across the screen. And that's the video. That's how I woke up this morning. Facebook's like, hey, do you want to see a video of someone's arm getting ripped off? And I'm like, nah, I really don't. And Facebook's like, well, we already started playing it, so here it is.
Jesus. Okay, so the United States has, Jesus Christ, 1.374 million active members, 845,000 reserve. China has... Why is it the People's Republic of China? 2.03 million active and 510,000 reserves. But they're the largest too by a lot. India's 1.44 million active, 2 million reserve.
India, with what money are they paying these soldiers?
Rupees, I guess. I don't know. The Russians have 1 million active, 2.5 million inactive.
That one I can see. Don't they have like 11 time zones in their fucking country or something like that?
I would not be surprised. Russia's massive.
I remember during World War II when like the Germans were invading and their plan was like, all right, burn it, run. All right, burn it, run. Like they just spread out the Germans so thin that they burned down their street and ran back. And then the Germans had to stay there and take it, and they got too cold and died. And then they came back and took it all again. No, yeah, that was their plan. They didn't shoot a single bullet. They just ran away, let the Germans kill themselves from cold because Hitler didn't give them any clothing for the winter. They all just died, and then they came back and took it.
So I work for a company that's based in Switzerland. So my boss, he's Swiss, and one of the guys I work with is Swiss. And I was talking to them about, just interesting things about Switzerland. So every house in Switzerland, if you build a new house, it has to have a bunker that's capable of supporting more people than will live in the house. So there's more bunker space in Switzerland than there are people to fill them. But wait, it gets better. So the Germans tried to invade Switzerland in World War II.
Yep.
They sent a division across the bridge. The Swiss blew the bridge up behind them.
Isn't that what... Oh, my God.
Not in front of them and said, keep out of our country.
They let them in and blew it up.
And then said, congratulations, you can't leave.
I forgot that their country literally rigs all of their fucking infrastructure.
They don't anymore, but they did in World War II.
Oh, they still do.
No, they don't.
I just read an article about it. That's why I'm saying, I just read an article saying that they're spending so much money and keeping these explosives in places ready that they're starting to pull explosives out of bridges and have it in a place nearby to put back in the bridge if they need to. Yeah, they're literally rigging their whole country. So they're like, I will fucking kill myself if you come in here. Don't think I won't.
Well, it's not killing themselves. I mean, they could live just fine.
It's just so awesome. I love that country.
Yeah. Swiss are a unique breed, man.
I'll blow up my house. Don't think I won't. You want this house? I'll blow it up. You want it more than I do, I promise.
Oh, man. So,
good shit.
What we've really got to talk about here,
Let's
though,
get back. I'm sorry. I'm getting back.
If we're talking about politics, I have to cover this. I 100% support Hong Kong.
Oh, hell yeah. Fuck China. Let's go Hong Kong. Oh, my God. Right. Dude, you need to hear Hong Kong right now or you will be Hong Kong soon.
That's it.
You need to hear them now, or you will be them soon. There is no in between. There are power hungry motherfuckers out there that want what you have,
and they will come take it.
And they will take it. I mean, dude, everyone's so. Oh, we need to save the kids. Ban the guns. Who is left with the guns?
The police.
The guy that Donald Trump, the guy that you guys all call Nazi, blah 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 blah. He's the guy left with the guns. Are you that fucking dumb? Are you that fucking dumb? The guy in charge of the world's strongest military is going to be the only guy with the guns? Use your motherfucking head for 13 seconds. Seriously, use your fucking head. Where do all the shootings happen? Gun-free zones. Where the guns aren't.
We need to
Let's turn the whole fucking country into a gun-free zone then? How about you shut your fucking mouth, use your god... I get so heated because it's so fucking easy to solve the problem. And, get rid of the guns. The guns aren't going anywhere! I was just in Chicago like a week ago, and a guy offered me an AK-47 out of his fucking trunk. Do you think he got that legally?
We don't call it Chicago where I'm from. We call it Chirac.
Well, no, if we get rid of the gun laws in Indiana, then they wouldn't come... Oh, my fucking God. Oh, my fucking God. Yeah. Let's talk to California. How you guys doing down there? Didn't you guys just have a school shooting in L.A.? How'd that work out? Your gun laws did real good in that school.
touchy topic.
But that's what I'm saying. They don't like cops in the schools with guns. They have to stay outside of the school with guns. That's why in Florida that shit happened with a cop ran away from it too. It's like, you guys, holy fucking shit, use your head. Stop letting your kids get killed.
All I'm saying is I'm pretty sure in North Dakota, school resource officers carry weapons. So don't shoot up a school in North Dakota or you're going to end up with a dinner plate.
Dude, I'm pretty sure everyone's dad is like nearby the school with a gun too in case something happens. Like just kick the door in, shotgun comes out. I get heated about it because like it's you watch it all unveil in front of your eyes in places like China where they take away the guns and then the Brits give back the Hong Kong back to the Chinese and the Chinese step on them because they don't have any rights to defend themselves.
Dude, the Chinese Republic like regime is wild. So they have two big dialects of Chinese that they speak in China. There's Cantonese and there's Mandarin.
Yep.
And I don't know which one is which, but one of them is like the original like Chinese that was spoken by like, you know, almost everybody. And the other one is the one that the People's Republic of China speaks. So they broadcast all of their news, all of their print media in the People's Republic's Chinese.
Right.
And then they subtitle it in Mandarin, I think. So all the people who grew up speaking Mandarin, they kind of understand the other one. But the people who've never spoken Cantonese,
yep,
they don't know. Or Mandarin. I'm like backwards on whichever
I know what
one,
you're saying. Yeah.
And that's just one thing. And then Taiwan. Did you know you can't talk about Taiwan in China?
What do you mean?
So like there was a big news story about Apple. If you were in China and you had an iPhone and you typed in the emoji for the Taiwanese flag, your iPhone would crash. Every single time you typed in the Taiwanese emoji.
That's
because Apple had to strip it out in order to sell their devices in China.
Dude, Apple, go fuck yourselves.
Right?
Apple, you need to go fuck yourselves. And didn't they just get rid of an app to help the Hong Kong people communicate without having the police? There was an app that Apple just got rid of that was helping the Hong Kong protesters protect themselves against the police tapping into their phones and literally shooting them.
Yep.
And Apple was like, I will take away the app because China doesn't want us to have that app.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Where are they getting all of their materials from?
Exactly.
The Foxconn factories in China.
Exactly.
Where are they selling most of their devices? Probably the people of China.
And Foxconn just moved into Wisconsin.
They were supposed to. They didn't. They reneged on their contract.
It's not happening anymore?
I don't think so. God. I'm pretty sure I just read that
Thank
like
God.
2 weeks ago.
Well, yeah, because I remember the governor of Wisconsin, Scott Walker, was like, yeah, it's going to be a great deal. And then like a year later, they were like, despite all of our prior engagements, we are not going to do that anymore. It's what? Yeah, real cool.
Some people, man.
I don't know. We need to just, yeah. I mean, American companies need to, I mean, there's a point where the growth is just like so massive and where they have to like sacrifice things like this to keep money.
What gets me is like tax shelters. Like, I remember reading that Amazon paid literally no tax.
$0.
They used all of American infrastructure. They used roads that I paid for, that you paid for.
And we're paying taxes still, by the way.
Yeah. I paid a shitload of taxes.
Fuck ton.
And they're using all of these roads that they didn't pay for. They're using all of this American labor that they're not contributing to.
Yeah.
Like, it's a race to the bottom to pay the least tax. And it's like, why? You did business on American soil, pay some American tax.
Yep.
Oh, boo-hoo, I know we've got a high tax rate. Deal with it.
Here's because I'm pretty outspoken against taxes. I fucking hate taxes. But I hate taxes because of the way that our taxes are written right now. It's an unfair game. I don't like, it's not that I don't, trust me, like, you can't just, no one's paying taxes, let's not do it. Like, so that was how the Articles of Confederation basically were written, and that worked for about 14 seconds. So, listen, I get it. Like, you're gonna pay taxes. It is what it is. But you can't have Amazon pay $0, have Google pay $0, have Apple pay, like, what, $1 million maybe? Have our president blocking his fucking tax returns from the Supreme Court and Congress. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous. And yet, if you don't pay your $14 this year, you'll get audited and sent to jail.
Tax evasion, man, that shit's no joke. They couldn't catch Al Capone selling anything, but they caught him evading his taxes.
That's crazy.
That's how they got Al Capone.
Are you serious?
Know that? Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, tax evasion's how they caught Al Capone.
I don't know much about Al Capone, to be honest with you.
I only know that A, he died of syphilis, and B, he wasn't caught for running moonshine or drugs or anything else. He was caught for tax evasion.
That's savage.
I think it's impressive, honestly, on the part of the government, like to put all that together.
Yeah, that's a tough. And that
gig. Was like the 30s or the 40s. Like, It was a different time back then.
Oh, that was back when shit was like.
You couldn't just bring up fucking Google Sheets and put in some numbers. You had to like.
They were dudes with straight up calculators.
Yeah. Mechanical calculators, even.
What?
Mechanical calculators. So they have gears that are different sizes. It's like an electric calculator, just it's a machine instead of.
So a 1 is like this gear, a 2 is that gear.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yes.
All right, so let's go to your Marine Corps life again.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Okay, so you're doing computer, you're running lines, you're doing that. What happens after you're running all these lines and everything? What happens after the stint in the Marine Corps? Why did you leave, by the way?
So I broke my back in the Marine Corps, my lower back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Running too many computer lines?
No, I was playing basketball for morning PT, and a dude who was like 400 pounds put his shoulder, the ball of his shoulder, into my lower back. He got down into like a 3-point stance and like charged through me from like 3 feet away. It was the most...
Basketball?
In basketball, yeah. I stole the ball from him while he was dribbling. He got real pissed off about it and just fucking...
Piled
it. And like he destroyed my vertebrae.
Oh my god.
And there was so much swelling for the next like 3 days I couldn't walk. And I was like super afraid that like I was gonna like never regain the use of my legs. But I did once the swelling went down. But I mean, it was...
Oh my god.
It was a crazy time. And that happened in 2008. And for the next 2 years, they gave me MRIs and a whole bunch of physical therapy. And I mean, I can't do crunches to this day. And that was 11 years ago, almost 12 years ago now. I still can't do crunches.
Were they trying to get you to stay in?
Well, I mean, obviously they want everybody to stay in. But, I mean, I don't know. They were offering some ridiculous re-sign bonuses. That's not what it's called. Re-up bonuses is what I'd call it. Re-enlistment bonus, that's the word. They were offering some crazy re-enlistment bonuses. Like, cybersecurity was just becoming a thing, like barely. And if you wanted to go into like intelligence and do that kind of stuff, they were offering $98,000 to sign on the dotted line for 4 more years.
So when you're saying intelligence, would you be like in Marine intelligence, or would that be like, okay, I was wondering if like intelligence meaning like NSA type of deal? Like
no, that would be like, before they were cybersecurity and like the cyber defense force, they were Marine intelligence, and that's
okay.
And they kind of branched off from there, if I understand it correctly.
So the NSA used to be like Marine intelligence before, like.
Oh no, the NSA was a thing way before that. But the Marine Corps has their own cyber defense.
Okay.
But anyway, they were offering ridiculous amounts of money, and I mean, I thought about re-enlisting, but I got medically separated 6 months before my contract was up.
Gotcha.
So they gave me severance pay, which wasn't much. And then the VA gave me a disability rating, which, I mean, honestly, I wish I didn't have. Because, like, I mean, it's cool that I'll get free healthcare for the rest of my life. And I get, I don't know, a little bit of money extra every month. But, like, I'd much rather be able to go run a marathon or do crunches until I puke.
Yeah, be a normal...
Yeah, be a normal human being.
Yeah, man. I feel that. Well, there's a lot of people, too, that kind of abuse, like, they almost want to be disabled.
I hate that, because
it's weird. It's a weird thing.
I hate that people might think that about me, and like I don't even really want my VA rating. I abhor the VA. It's so hard to get anything. Like I needed to go to the chiropractor on Friday because I like fucked up my back at the gym, and like if I wanted to get the VA to like let me see a chiropractor, I would have to call my main doctor, my primary care provider, and get an appointment. That's like 3 weeks out, maybe, if I'm lucky. And then she would have to write me a referral to the chiropractor. I'd have to wait for that to go to Fargo, get processed, get to the chiropractor. Then the chiropractor would call me and schedule an appointment. So we're at like, I don't know, 5 weeks for me to go see the chiropractor. So like...
So by that time,
I probably don't even need to see
You
the
probably
chiropractor.
wouldn't even want to see the chiropractor.
Yeah.
You'd be so used to it. It's just...
Exactly. But, like, I'm supposed to have everything covered with no copays. Like, I get my medicine for free, and I get to see the doctor for free, and it sounds great, but there's a downside. There's always a downside. That's why I carry private health insurance. I just, hey, I get insurance through the VA, but fuck that. Here's my private insurance. Here's my credit card. Don't care what it costs. Let me see a chiropractor.
Okay, so you are allowed to still have your own private insurance on the side.
Allowed? You're almost required, man.
Really?
I mean, so up in Grand Forks, we only have a community-based outpatient clinic, and they only have 3 doctors there, and they rotate between Grand Forks, Grafton, and Crookston. So they're only in the office like 2 days a week in Grand Forks. And then they're booked solid when they are in the office.
My God.
And like, you know what they tell you? Well, if it's that bad, go to the emergency room. And it's like, well, I don't want to waste their time. Like, I need to see a chiropractor. I don't need to go get fucking oxycodone.
Right.
But that's their solution to the problem.
Man.
So anyway, back to the question at hand. You asked me what I did after the military. I got out of the military in 2010. October 29th of 2010. I was officially discharged.
Right before Halloween.
Just before Halloween, yeah. And I actually got out in September. And then I had a month of leave that I hadn't used.
Oh, okay.
So I got out a month early and I kept getting paychecks. So I went back home and I sat on my buddy's couch and I smoked ridiculous amounts of weed. And then, I just kind of waited. I moved in with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. We moved to Iowa. We moved me to Iowa. She was already there. And I lived with her for about, 9 months. Finished my associate's degree at the University of Northern Iowa. And then I had a decision to make. I was like, hey, I want to go to flight school. Where would you like to go? We can go to Daytona Beach, Florida, and go to Embry-Riddle. Or we can go to Grand Forks, North Dakota, and go to UND. She's like, well, my parents are in Iowa, so let's go to North Dakota. God, I wish we had went to Daytona Beach.
A little warmer.
But it wasn't my decision to make. Not my fault.
But we wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast if you would have.
I mean, that's fair, but I would have lived on a beach, man. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
I would never know what negative 40 felt like.
But selfishly, I'm glad that I met you. I am so selfishly glad you went there.
I'm glad that I've enriched your life in some way.
Oh, you for sure have, dude. Come on. You for sure have.
I mean, I suppose.
There's a lot of people.
After I got arrested, I lost touch with so many people.
Yeah, and I'm going to be real with you, man. That's kind of why I wanted to stay connected with you, because I watched a lot of people kind of distance themselves from you over it, and I'm like...
Distance themselves is an easy way of putting it.
It was disheartening to me, because shortly thereafter, I mean, you had your incident, I had something happen with me where a lot of people kind of distanced themselves from me, and it was like, fuck. Like,
I just don't understand, like, the same people that were buying drugs from me every weekend all of a sudden didn't want to, like, talk to me ever again.
Yeah, they don't want to associate with...
So
like, let's explain what happened. So you got in... Why did you get into maybe dealing some drugs? Why did you get into that?
Well, it all started... I hadn't really used drugs since I got out of the military. I smoked a little bit when I was in Tennessee, and then I just kind of stopped. I didn't really want to. I was in the flight program. I needed to stay clean. But then I joined Beta, and joining Beta, it happened at the same time as, like, my exit from the flight program. So I had no incentive whatsoever to remain sober. And doubly so because the FBI turned me down.
Right. And
I pretty much said, if I can't join them, I might as well beat them. So I started buying pot from a guy I met in Beta. I won't name names because he probably wouldn't appreciate that.
Right. Let's avoid that.
Started buying pot from a guy, and he was charging me like ludicrous. It was like $500 for an ounce. I mean,
my God.
I mean, it was great. It was homegrown and it was great, but like
that's
$500 for a
so
zip
much
is crazy.
money.
Yeah. And what I found out he was doing, he would buy me a zip, he would buy him a zip, and pocket the difference.
Right.
So I mean, whatever. He was the only connect I had. But at some point I was like, I can get this shit way cheaper.
Right.
So Christmas of 14, I just kind of said, there's got to be a better way. So I went looking. And I found the dark net. and I got into Bitcoin. I got really into like buying stuff off the dark web, and I went from paying like $450 to $500 for an ounce to paying like $60 for an ounce. And pretty soon people started to notice. I was talking to people that I was, smoking with every night, and they're like, "Holy shit, you're getting great weed for like dirt cheap." It's like, "Yeah, I could get you some if you want." And then I wasn't just buying an ounce at a time anymore. I was buying like a pound.
So that's that slippery slope.
Yeah, and it's the way I liken it is Hitler didn't turn Germany into a Nazi powerhouse in a day.
No, he didn't.
No, he did it one atrocity at a time.
And
he took every one just a little bit further, pushed that edge just a little bit further. Before you know it, he had the German people saying, "Yeah, let's put all the Jews in concentration camps." And that's exactly what it was with me. It was me just, "Oh, I'll just try this drug. I've never tried it before." Like, I think the first request I ever got for anything that wasn't weed, man, what was it? I think it was acid. So the first thing I did was I bought like a page of computer paper.
Yep.
That's like 900 tabs.
It's got little... Yep.
900 tabs of acid. And the street value on that is stupid. It's like $10,000 if you sell it tab by tab. And I paid like $900 for it. And it's like...
Pretty good markup.
Holy crap. And then pretty soon I started buying ecstasy. And I got really addicted to ecstasy. It was like every other day I wanted to just get in the basement of Beta, turn the music up real loud.
And just melt.
And just melt, yeah. And I got addicted hardcore to that. And...
So what is ecstasy? I've never personally done it, so I don't know.
Methyldioxymethamphetamine. It essentially binds to the dopamine receptors in your brain. And it forces your brain to release even more dopamine. And it just makes you feel really happy. It makes you like...
euphoric, just...
Yeah, euphoric, yeah. But the problem is, every high has a low.
Right.
Because the next day, you feel super depressed. And that's amplified by the more you do it. So, that was that. But ecstasy proved to be the cheapest drug I could possibly get my hands on. I could get a kilogram for $800 shipped into the U.S. in just a plain manila envelope. Also, I should probably say, this story is entirely fictional. None of this actually happened.
This is all
this
just...
This is a dream I had.
We're all just talking about, like, when we were just fucking around one time, making up shit.
So,
right, this is not real.
I could get a kilogram for $800 American. So I'd import it to a very large city, and I had a person there that would receive it for me, and they would take 10% off the top for receiving it. They'd take 10% more off, and then they'd press what was left, the other 80%, into pills. So I now have 800 grams that I've paid $800 for. $1 a gram.
And what would this turn for?
A point, which is 0.1 gram, typically sells for about $10.
Wait.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. I was paying 80 cents and I could sell it for $10. But I didn't want to sell to the people like the end users.
Right.
If you were my friend, I would just give it to you. I wanted to sell to big people, and there were 2 people in Grand Forks. We named them D1 and D2 to protect their anonymity.
Right. And
not that I give a fuck. Fuck you, Dylan. He's the dude who narked on me.
I know he
deserves
is.
It. Yeah, they were just big shots, and they could move a lot of weight. So it was literally like the eBay of drugs. I would order it, deliver it to my people. They'd press it into pill form with a little smiley face on it, ship it to me in a vitamin bottle. We'll call it Vitamin M for Molly. And then I'd just give away these vitamin bottles. And by the end of it, I wasn't even touching the product. Like, other than the stuff that I was using every day, I wasn't...
You're the middle guy. You're the Walmart.
I was just the guy who made sure that the orders kept flowing.
I got you.
I called people. I texted people. I made sure that deliveries were going where they needed to go. It was a big business. I employed like 10 people.
Yeah. And that turns quick.
It was crazy how fast it grew. But then, the guy who turned me in, all the people that he was dealing to started getting caught one by one by one. they had formed a task force to find out
where it
was
was coming
importing
from.
all this fucking ecstasy. Because, like, overnight, you could go from not being able to find ecstasy in North Dakota to, oh my God, it's everywhere. And, I mean, I was the root cause of that. But, and I feel bad. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I really do. But at the time, you know, it was an addiction. What can I say? You know, I was a slave to those drugs. And I couldn't...
Man,
I couldn't
that shit
process it in
grabs
my
you,
head.
dude.
I couldn't process it in my head that, like, man, I'm going to get caught someday. I thought I was invincible, you know? And, man, that came back to bite me so hard. But, anyway...
So they created a task force.
A task force, yeah, the Pine to Prairie Task Force. And they were looking specifically for marijuana wax, just like the stuff you've got in this little slick right here. That, I'm pretty sure... Well, we'll not go there. But, and, you know, ecstasy. So that's what they were looking for.
So just for the record, I'm sure all my friends know this. Some of my listeners probably don't. I'm a medical marijuana card holder. That's why I get this. I get this from a store in Minneapolis, actually.
He's also been smoking dabs this whole episode.
Yeah, I have.
It's just so, anyway, as D1's fucking people start getting snatched up by this task force, eventually they target him. They find out he's the guy, and they target him. And he makes an order for 200 pills. And I'm like, that's a lot, man. You sure you want that many at a time? He's like, yeah, man, I got one guy that wants to buy it all. And alarm bells were going off in my head. But then I was like, nah, he's a smart kid. He'll figure it out. We were literally sitting in the basement of his apartment. Or the house he rented, sorry. And I was like, man, we're the OGs. We've been in this game for like 3-4 years now. He's like, yeah, we are, aren't we? The next fucking day, he sold to a CI, a confidential informant. And they asked him, if you just tell us where you got it from, we'll let you go. And he did. He said, yeah, it's this guy named Chris. He showed him a picture of me. And I was like, you motherfucker. So he convinces me to meet him at the Memorial Union. And so I show up, and there's a cop waiting for me. He's like, let me ask you a few questions. And he rips my phone out of my hands, and he unlocks it, and he looks at it, and he's like, oh, yeah, this is you, and this is your account, which, by the way, is completely illegal, totally against my Fourth Amendment rights, but I never got to take this case to court. And they're like, yeah, you're the guy, and this guy says you gave it to him, and I was just like, I want my lawyer. I got nothing to say to you. I'm like, okay. So they took me off to county, and I saw Dylan 3 days later at arraignment. And I was like, don't worry, man, it'll be fine. Everything will be fine. And then I read my case, because that was the first time I'd gotten to see the charges against me. And it's like, oh, Dylan gave me up, that motherfucker. And then he stopped talking to me, of course. I still follow him. He wants to be a rapper. He's big on SoundCloud. It's my life's goal to go to, like, a huge show, get a bullhorn, and be like, fucking narc! Sure, security will throw me out. Totally worth it.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so what ended up happening, they took all my computers, they took everything. They tore my house apart for like 4 hours looking for stuff. And they were really disappointed when they found like a sheet of Xanax. Like I had Xanax tabs. And it was like personal use amounts. It was like 10 or 20 tabs. And that's all they found in my house. Oh, and they found some like marijuana candy bars that I'd gotten from Colorado and stuffed in my toolbox and forgot I even had. Yeah, they found a little bit of ecstasy in my truck, personal use amounts, and they found some pot in my truck, personal use amounts. And, man, they ran me up the fucking flagpole, dude. They charged me with everything they could think of. I think it was like 6 felonies I was looking at.
6 felonies.
Oh, wait, it gets worse. And then the next day, after I got out of jail, the fucking Herald ran an article on me. Grand Forks Herald.
I remember that day.
Local man gets caught with ecstasy on school grounds. It's like, great. So what happens on Friday afternoon, I got out on Thursday. The article ran Thursday night. And Friday morning, I was fired from my job that I worked really hard at getting and was quite good at. They're like, sorry, you made the papers, nothing we can do, you're fired. Cool, thanks. And then I got a lawyer, and I paid him a ludicrous amount of money. And he's like, don't worry, it'll be fine. We'll just take a plea deal, and you won't even end up with any charges, it'll be fine. A month goes by, and it's time for like the first appearance where you actually plead guilty or not guilty. And I went in there, and I'm like, okay, let's go. My lawyer's fucking late. And I'm like, what the fuck? He was supposed to meet me here at like 3 o'clock. And it's like 3:45. He shows up, huffing and puffing, and I'm like, what the fuck? Thanks for being on time. He's like, come with me into this room. And it's a paper. The state's dropping all the charges against me. What the fuck? They caught me red-handed. How? How are they dropping charges? And he's like, don't ask. It doesn't matter. Sign this paper, let's go. So, signed the paper, we went in, and the judge is like, are you sure? To the DA, he's like, yep, dropping all charges. She looks at me and she's like, well, go on about your life, I guess. And so I did. I got married, I took a honeymoon in Thailand. I took a job working with a company that...
How was Thailand, by the way? I hear Thailand is just fucking...
Thailand was amazing.
I hear it's beautiful.
It's expensive to get there, but everything's cheap. I love the place. Love it a lot.
Good.
So I took a job working with a company, and everything was fine. The company's like, we heard you got like put in jail for some stuff. I was like, yeah, the state dismissed the charges. Ran a background check. Yeah, state dismissed the charges. Okay, you're good. And then one day in September, the sheriff shows up to my door, and lo and behold, it's a new set of charges. 21 felonies. Distribution of a controlled substance, possession of a controlled substance, and 18 counts of possession of child pornography. Oh man, you want to talk about a bad fucking day. So, it was bad enough that the state had charged me with all this stuff. I'm like, well, maybe I just won't have to tell people about this. I can go to court and I can get these charges dropped and everything will be fine because this ain't mine. And that is not what happened. The next day, guess whose friendly fucking local newspaper runs an article about good old Chris Davis? Yeah.
So, they slap you with 21 new charges, including... Okay, I'm just going to let you keep going. I'm sorry. I'm going to let you keep going.
This is a tangled fucking web. So, 21 charges, and I'm like, what is going on here? And then the Herald puts out an article. Local man charged with child pornography. And they run up my fucking shitty mugshot. And they're like, oh, he had drugs, and he had fucking guns, and he had child porn. He's a fucking cretin. He's the worst person who ever lived. And I'm just like, fuck. That's, wow. What do I do? And, I call my lawyer, and he's like, wow, this is bad. Let's see what they got. Let's call their evidence. Let's subpoena their evidence and figure out what we're working with. And so I leave the lawyer's office, and I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like, my life's over. I'm never going to have a job again. Like, I'm going to be a sex offender for the rest of my life. Like, this isn't the life I want. And I distinctly remember going home that day, and I pulled out my Mossberg 500, and I was just looking at it, and I was like, man, I don't want to live anymore. I distinctly remember that thought. And I was like, I don't want to live a life as a sex offender. I don't want to live a life where, like, I'm being vilified for things that weren't even my fault. Like, if I have to do some jail time because I sold drugs, like, that was a conscious choice I made. And I knew that there might be repercussions. I didn't think they'd ever happen to me, but I knew that there would be. But, like, I didn't sign on for fucking child porn. Like, that's 10-year mandatory minimum. That's sex offender registry. That's a bad fucking deal. And I'm like, I think I should talk to somebody. So I went and I saw a counselor, and he helped me through the worst of it. Eventually, what it turns out, the computer that I had at Beta, and in the time I was running this enterprise, somebody had used it to download a shitload of child pornography. I mean, like, 21 gigabytes is what they said in their...
Oh my God.
In their dossier. They're like, yeah, you had over 25,000 images and like 200 videos, and I'm like, what in the fuck? Like, that's a full-time job downloading porn for like months, years maybe.
So you never downloaded any of this?
Never, dude. And like, I was so high all the time, I didn't have time to look at what was on these fucking computers. A lot of people had access to them. I didn't do shit to secure them. And I could have proven that in court, probably. But let me put it to you this way. they offered me a deal. Take a felony on the distribution of drugs. We drop all of the child porn charges. We drop all the other drug charges. And we stick you with 2 deviant sexual act charges, which is a misdemeanor that's not a sex crime in North Dakota. So take that deal. You do 4 months on house arrest and 3 years on probation. And you walk away. Take that deal or roll the dice. Go to court, go to trial, prove that this wasn't mine, and maybe get something better than what I was looking at with the plea deal. And I talked to my lawyer for 6 hours that day. And I was like, what do I do, man? This is big. And he's like, look, I know you don't want to hear this, but the deal is your only option. You take this to court, you lose. And maybe you don't lose. Maybe you have to appeal and you win the appeal. What happens between the time that you lose and you go to fucking fuck me in the ass prison and when your appeal gets approved and you get out 2 years later, you just spent 2 years in the pen, you haven't worked for 2 years, your wife left you, all your friends don't talk to you anymore. And that's how it was. And it was the worst part of my life, man. That day with my Mossberg, I picked up my phone and I was scrolling through all the people I had talked to recently. And I was like, man, there is nobody that wants to talk to me on this list. Not a single fucking person who ever wanted to give a shit that I was alive. And I used to be really good friends with one of the guys in Beta. I won't mention his name. But I used to be really good friends with one of the Betas. And really good. We hung out every single day. And the fact that he didn't return my calls was... Man, it was bad.
It's very hard.
It was a rough time in my life. And I might not be showing any emotion. I know, dude. This was just a hard time. I steeled myself
time.
To the memory.
Yep.
But I dug myself out of that pit, man. And I did my 4 months in county. I went and I got processed in. They gave me an ankle bracelet. I did 4 months on the ankle bracelet. And then I went and I met my probation officer. He's a nice guy. He didn't bother me too much. I didn't bother him too much. I still remember going in to talk to my friend who owns the towing business. I was like, dude, I got nothing. I got no job. I got no money coming in. I need to pay my bills. Can I sweep your floors for $8 an hour? I need a job. And literally Burger King wouldn't even hire me. I'm a fucking college-educated Marine veteran with ridiculous amounts of skill, and Burger King wouldn't hire me to flip fucking burgers. That's the world we live in. That's America. And after all this happened, I'm trying to find a career again, right? And I'm looking, I put in no shit 1,000 job applications. I got 200 callbacks. I got 150 interviews. And I think I got a total of 1 offer. It's not that I wasn't qualified. Right. It's not that I didn't have the skills, the capabilities. It's just that nobody wanted to hire me because of that record. You Google Chris Davis Grand Forks. Go ahead. Read my story, man. I don't care. Everybody else has.
It's all up there forever, man.
Yeah, I asked the Herald, I was like, can you please take this down? It's been years. I've changed my life. And you know what they told me? No. One word. Yep. Verbatim. That was their reply. No. They didn't even include a fucking signature. No. But they did do one thing that we asked them to do. After all these charges were dropped, they posted a 4th article saying, local man has most charges dropped. And then they made it seem like we were going to say there was something wrong with how they collected the evidence. Not that I was actually innocent. So, fuck you, Grand Forks Herald. Hope your fucking building burns down.
Well, I don't know. I hope their building stays up. There's a lot of my friends that work there still. I understand that editor definitely should be butt-fucked for saying that. I understand.
I hate the fact that they can say that
false.
Until the end of time.
Right, it's not. It's just, to me, and especially if you're going to imply that it's not what it was too, that's not cool. It's just...
Nobody cares, man.
I know people, it's character. I mean, the other day, there was a guy on... the Joe Rogan podcast, and they fucking called in the editor of their magazine, and they're like, "Yeah, why did you write this? Look," because they were just like, "This is not true," and yeah, I think that stuff needs to start happening more though, where people are getting called out for their bullshit.
I wish, man.
Listen, it's not, and like you said, you're not saying you were innocent of anything. You're not saying, no, I never sold drugs. You're not saying that. You're just saying you're a changed man, and you're deserving of a second chance.
That's right, man. And, you know, this whole, like, finding a job thing, put in over 1,000 job applications, and eventually one company in fucking France decided to take a chance on me. And I remember I was talking to the hiring manager, and I was like, look, I got no options. I got nowhere to go. I'll work for peanuts. Like, I just need something. I need healthcare. I need, like, a stable career. And I will be the hardest worker you've ever fucking had. And he's like, let me think on it. And his HR calls me back the next day and makes me an offer. And I was like, thank God. Thank God. And I worked for them. I would have worked for them until the day I retired. I'm not kidding you. I would have. Because I was so thankful for that opportunity. And the only reason I don't work for them right now is because they fired me. You know why they fired me? Because I was defending a member of my team when they promoted a different member of my team who was wildly undeserving of that promotion. The one who was undeserving of the promotion was a woman who was fucking one of the vice presidents.
Yeah, that'll get you. That'll get you every time.
Yeah, the vice president already didn't like me very much. So that was that, and poof. Vanished like a fart in the wind. That's how my job went.
And then you went to Switzerland.
I didn't. I've never been to Switzerland, actually. I found out about this job 2 days before I got fired from my last job. And I shit you not, I applied for this job on like a Thursday. And then I got fired on a Friday afternoon. Yeah, I'm not even kidding you. But I applied for this job, and they were just, you know, their hiring process was pretty long. And it was like 2 months after I got fired. They're like, yeah, dude, come work for us, for real. And it was great. I didn't have to ask for a certain salary. I was just like, this is what I used to make, and I'd like to make a little bit more at my next job. And they came in with like, I got a raise of 10 grand. I got a job that I fucking love. Like,
awesome.
I get to do really cool shit every day.
What do you do for your job?
I'm a systems engineer. So I keep our systems online first and foremost. And when everything's up and running, I get to build new stuff. I support a product called Lagoon. And it's really cool. If you want to host some stuff, you need website hosting. It's not cheap, but it's amazing.
Lagoon,
yeah. But I remember I was being interviewed by the chief technology officer, one of the Swiss guys I was telling you about, and he's my work report boss. So I report to somebody else for HR stuff, but like as far as like work tasks go, I work for him, or under him actually. But anyway, so I was like, hey man, I have a criminal record. Like you need to know about that, and you know it's really bad, and I regret what I did. He's like, let me stop you. I don't give a shit about your criminal record. I'm never going to look into it. I don't care. And I was like, are you just saying that? Or, like, pretty sure you're going to do a background check. Pretty sure you're going to pull your offer. But, I mean, I'll go with it. Let's see what happens. And he's like, yeah, I don't care. Can you do the job? Do you want the job? Okay. Let's hire you. And I shit you not. I was at an event. We were at DrupalCon Amsterdam. That was just last week, 2 weeks ago. And I was talking to people about, like, you know, how I have a checkered past. And people are like, wow, you were involved with the darknet? And my boss, he looks over and he's like, yeah, he has some interesting stories to tell. And I was like, huh, they really don't care.
But, like, Amsterdam, that place is like the sanctuary. People are genuinely care about...
These were Americans I was talking to.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome still. But, like, I remember, because my dad goes there for work, too, and stuff, and, like, all the people there really care about is who you are as a person right now today. How you doing, man? How you doing right now? How you looking good? You're not killing anyone. You look great. Everything looks, you know, like they're
not shooting a school.
Right.
Or carrying an AK-47 down the street. Apparently that's a problem in Europe. I don't know. Or lorry drivers driving through crowds. That's a big thing.
Is it really?
Well, that was a thing in, like, Paris, maybe? Or was it Brussels? One of those big cities.
Remember.
But there was a van who drove through like a crowd.
Oh yeah, dude, I remember that.
People.
That's right.
Anything could be a weapon if you try hard
That happened
enough.
in Charlottesville too. That dude ran his
oh yeah, his Charger.
His Charger into a group of people.
God, what an idiot.
What an asshole. What a dickhead.
What an ass.
If your ideas require violence to enforce, your ideas are shit.
Agreed.
Your ideas are shit if they require violence to enforce.
Yeah. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I like it.
It's a good story, dude.
It's the story that made me. So I
Dude,
can't really hate it.
Listen, there's a lot of people listening who shit, man, their gas runs out and they're like, how could my day get any worse?
Oh,
well,
man.
you could get 21 felonies slapped on you.
Dude,
and
you could.
You know, it's
real hard
and
to
especially,
feel worse than I did that day.
Especially like, you know, I guarantee you there's going to be someone commenting, wow, you have this guy on your podcast, that's nuts. Listen, everyone deserves a fucking chance. I don't care what you did. I really don't. I have yet to abandon a friendship. I don't care. I don't care how bad you hurt me. I don't care what you've done. I don't abandon friendships. The only way to get out of a friendship with me is if you leave. That's the only way out. So, I give everyone a chance. I don't care. If you could be Alex Jones just getting sued for making up shit about Sandy Hook. If you want to talk, man, I'll give you a chance to talk.
God, Alex Jones, all I can think of when you say that is, it's turning the frogs gay!
Yeah.
It's my favorite sound clip from that
Did he
show.
actually say that?
I think he did, yeah.
Oh, man, that guy says some crazy shit.
Let's see if I can play the sound bite.
Put it right up here. I put this up here. We put cash shit up on the TV all the time.
Making the frogs gay. Let's see what we got. Alex Jones, 5 most disturbing and ridiculous conspiracy theories.
Making the frogs gay. What is that gonna do for anyone? Like, what kind of conspiracy is that? Like,
Water's being poisoned with chemicals that are making the friggin' frogs gay. What is... No! They took down the video! Fuck you, YouTube!
oh yeah, they deplatformed him so no one can... If they find his videos, they just take them down.
Turn the friggin' frogs gay! Sinner's crap! They turn the friggin' frogs gay! Sinner's crap!
Fucking Alex Jones.
Oh, he gets so worked up. I love watching. Did you ever see him and Eddie Bravo go? You know who Eddie Bravo is?
I don't.
Eddie Bravo is a jiu-jitsu art. He owns 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in Los Angeles. And he's also, like, the world's biggest conspiracy theorist I've ever fucking met in my life. Like, I was talking to him one time, and he mentioned something to me, and he's like, dude, the fucking world is flat, dude, the world's flat. And then, like, you say something back about how the world's not flat, and he'd be like, dude, you just need to look into it, man. Like, right now, you need to get on YouTube, and you need to look up bubbles in space, man. That's the only, I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, the world's flat. And you're like, okay, but no, it's not. Here's the debris, it goes this way. No, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just asking questions. I'm just like, oh my God, Eddie. So, like, watching him and Alex Jones go at it back and forth in the same room, poetic. There is nothing better. I just sit there and laugh. And I've never been in the same room as both of them, but they've been on podcasts together and they've done shows together. Oh my God. It's the best. You can't buy it. It's the best kind of entertainment.
Sounds like a good time. Sounds like a good thing to watch when you're pretty baked at night.
So where are you heading right now? What are you up to? Passing through. That's why you're doing this. Passing through. That's why we got you on this podcast.
Yeah, tonight I'm going to be going to Iowa. I'm going to be seeing the wife's parents. The
Awesome.
in-laws. Spend the night at their place, and then tomorrow I'm making my way down to Nashville. I'm going to be going to see my ma for Thanksgiving.
Awesome. So let's just talk about how amazing your wife is for sticking by your side through all of this.
Oh man, it almost didn't happen, dude. It almost didn't. She was 1 foot out the door. She won't admit it, and she's gonna listen to this and be like, "Fuck you for saying that." But everybody saw it. Like, it was running her ragged, and really, like, she is a saint for staying with me, because, like, I had nobody. Like, I was sitting at home. I was, like, drawing unemployment after my job had just fucking shit canned me, and it's like, I can't get a job. I can't go anywhere. Like, I don't have any money. Can't leave the state to go, like, see my family. Like, I guess I'll sit here and play video games. fucking 18 hours a day. And that was my life for like 2 months.
So even though she was 1 foot out the door, she was still 1 foot in.
That's true. And, I got to give her credit for that.
And now she's both feet in again. And, it's just, I don't know. That was a tough time, literally, for everyone. Like,
yeah,
everyone that was hard for. And the only reason why I know, like, I was just kind of directly there. It's how so, like, but even the shock waves go out when something like that happens. When something comes crashing down, no matter what it is, people are going to feel it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, when I was hopped up on drugs, I had myself convinced I wasn't hurting anybody but myself. And, like, that's the biggest fucking fallacy. Because, like, if I would have overdosed and, like, died, maybe it's hard to overdose on ecstasy, but it's still a stimulant, and you can still, it binds to the same receptors as cocaine and has a very similar effect, and you can definitely overdose on cocaine. But I digress. If I had overdosed and, like, died, Becca would have been, like, my wife would have been, like, not happy at all. And above and beyond that, like...
Not only her.
All my friends that, at that point were friends, they would have been like, holy shit, this is bad. And then, whoever had to, like, find my body, wherever the fuck I died, that would have been traumatic for them. My family would have had to come bury me. Like, it would have been bad for so many people. And even if, I had to spend more than, 4 months in jail, like, I would have affected so many people. And I can't put into words how I feel about that. It's just, I feel so bad. Because it really was, at the end of the day, like, I was hurting so many people, and I was legitimately blind to that fact.
When you're in that cave, though, when you're looking into a cave, you don't see the light behind you.
Oh,
you're looking in, man.
That's right.
It's a tough cave to walk out of.
In the words of a very famous person from South Park, drugs are bad.
Chris, it's been about an hour and a half.
Has it?
It has.
Really? I think it's been 2 hours, man.
It might have been 2 hours by
now. Dabs and forgot when we started.
That might be true.
Let's see.
This is more CBD enriched, though, to be honest with you.
That's
much
good.
more. So, like, I have, like, a blend that they make for me, because you have to have, like, it's like an 85 CBD and 15 THC. So, like, the THC is more there just to kind of, there's, like, a receptor that it hits or some shit. Dude, I don't know. I'm not a botanist, but what I do know is that it works pretty well for me to stay calm, keeps my anxiety aside. I feel like I've really turned my shit around since I've gotten the medical card, and
I got
taken.
Medicine, dude.
How many?
Argue with you
I used to be on. Dude, my psychiatrist had me on like all these different drugs, like shitloads of drugs, like amphetamines and Ritalin and fucking Klonopin, propranolol, name it. I was probably on it at some point. And then one psychiatrist was like, "So, have you ever tried weed?" And I was like, "I've tried it, but," they're like, "Well, here, just do this mix." Miracle. That kind of changed all that shit around.
That's awesome, man. I qualify for a medical card in North Dakota, and I've been going back and forth about whether or not I'll do it. But I don't know, man. It's a slippery slope, and I've been doing the Narcotics Anonymous thing for like 3.5 years. I'm 3.5 years sober from illegal drugs. And
congratulations.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's an accomplishment.
I'm proud of it.
And
I don't think I've done anything for 3 years.
Hopefully this podcast.
Maybe I do it. Fuck yeah, dude.
You're gonna listen to this like 4 years from now and be like, man, look at him predicting the future.
What a dumbass! Look at him smoking dabs on this podcast.
Hey man, all the cool people do, like Joe Rogan and Elon Musk.
Yeah, but they got like millions of dollars.
Hey, you might.
They have fuck you money. I don't have fuck you money.
Hey man, Aer Lingus might give you that fuck you money.
We'll see. Yeah, Aer Lingus.
Product
Aer Lingus,
placement.
give me that motherfucking fuck you money right now so I can do what I want.
Want to go to Dublin? Aer Lingus.
Dude, that's actually a pretty good airline from what I know too.
I just flew Aer Lingus, Minneapolis to Dublin, exactly what they were advertising, and it's not a bad route.
No,
the
and
meals are tasty. Mm-hmm. They have entertainment in seats. Why are we product placementing? Like, are they going to pay us for this? They better.
Oh, they're going to pay us for this. I've got the rates up there. I'll bill them. Bitch, here's $15 for that ad.
No, but it was super cheap, and it was a good flight. It's a good time.
Yeah. No, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
When did you went directly to Dublin?
Yep.
Did you go to any of the breweries over there?
We went to the Jameson distillery. We went to the Guinness Storehouse. I don't think we went to any others.
My brother went to the Guinness thing over there, and like
I wasn't a fan of the Guinness thing. It's a tourist attraction.
Is
man.
it?
Like, I mean, it's still an operating brewery, and that's cool, but like, it's a tourist attraction.
Gotcha. Yeah. My friend right now is at he just sent me a snap. What the Coors down in Colorado. He's at the Coors Distillery.
That sounds like a cool place.
It's fucking cool. Like, there's no tourist area. They're just like walking on the plant floor next to all the employees and shit.
I went to see the Budweiser brewing place down in Houston, and man, that place is really cool. Part of the tour, they put this little nozzle on one of the giant wort containers, and they just pull you off some, like, as fresh as it can possibly be Budweiser. And it's like, wow.
Yep.
That's really cool. And it tastes totally different there. And, like, you can taste, like, the different aging and how it tastes different along the process, but I don't know, it was a really cool experience for me.
Yeah.
But we really should cut this short. I need to
All right,
go.
we'll wrap
It's
this
gonna
up.
be 9 o'clock when I get where I'm going.
Chris, thank you so much for being on the
Thanks for
podcast.
having me.
Thank you for telling your story. Everyone, this guy literally is one of the best people I know. He's been through some shit. Everyone has been through some shit. His was just publicly flown out there for everyone to know. Most of us, our shit, we just keep it down in our little chamber and we tuck it away for no one else to know. His got blown up. So that's the only difference. I just really want to point out he's a genuinely good human being. And I think everyone deserves a second chance. I think everyone needs to, if you've turned your shoulder on this man, you need to give him a fucking call, man. It's whether, I don't know if you want the call, I don't know, but I think that the only thing that we really have left in the world at this point is our positive relationships with each other.
That's right.
And sticking with each other is really all we have through anything. And
That's right.
I think that that's best.
I've had the same phone number for 16 years, 15 years. So, yeah, call me, text me, whatever. If you want to find me online, my handle is cdchris12. You can find me basically everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever.
Awesome. There's the one last thing you want to say before we head out.
Life's too short to be angry all the time. Don't hold grudges, and let shit go. Let that shit roll off your back like water. Because, like, imagine you had $86,000 in your checking account and somebody stole $5 from you. Like, are you going to go chase them down for that $5? Probably not. You're going to be a little annoyed and you're going to go on with your day. 86,400 seconds in a day. If somebody makes 5 seconds of those bad, are you going to let that 5 seconds affect your entire day?
Amen, brother. Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.